When people think of Miami, they think of the nightclub, the beaches, the party scene. But underneath that, there's so much more. In this documentary, we're going to be showing you historical hidden gems that truly show Miami's history and what South Florida was built on. Let's go on a little venture. Here we are at the Gold Coast Railroad Museum, home to over 40 historic railroad cars, including one used by President Roosevelt himself. Here you get a really hands-on feel about how trains shaped Florida's past. Let's go take a look.
We were originally founded in 1957 on the grounds of Naval Air Station Richmond, a blimp base used for anti-submarine warfare to protect our shores during World War II. After the base was destroyed during the greatest fire of 1945 due to a hurricane, the base sat unused for a number of years until the University of Miami South Dade campus took over the area. And then in 1957, a business student and the dean of the school, they decided to open up the Gold Coast Railroad Museum, known as the Miami Railway Historical Society at the time. The locomotive you see behind me, 153, was the last locomotive to leave the Keys before the bridge was destroyed, and that was the locomotive that founded this museum. The students and faculty restoring it and bringing it back to life on the tracks behind me. After that, in the 60s, we were actually kicked out and moved to Fort Lauderdale to make way for the largest CIA base in the entire United States outside of Virginia. JM Wave, it was called, as it's been recently declassified. It was used for training missions against the Cuban regime, Castro regime. And for a while, we were up in Fort Lauderdale and Snyder Park. Eventually, when we were able to move back in the 80s, we came back down here. But then the shed you see behind me was built after Andrew. Andrew destroyed the entire shed you see behind me. It was completely ruined, and we've had to rebuild anew since 1992, back during Hurricane Andrew. That was the last time our steam locomotives were able to run. We had rail cars flipped on their sides even. Surprisingly, though, the Ferdinand Magellan was remarkably in one piece. The U.S. car number one, the Ferdinand Magellan, the only National Historic Landmark rail car in our country and the heaviest passenger rail car ever built. Let's go and take a look on board and hear the stories of the presidents that used this car. It was used by FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, and Reagan. FDR, it was first purpose built for. The Secret Service in 1942 said, all right, the war is going on. President, we can't have you just renting random Pullman cars anymore. We need you to get something more secure. So they took one of the Pullman executive cars out of service, heavily outfitted it with 5/8-inch thick steel all around the car, making it the heaviest rail car ever built, 285,000 pounds. 3/8 thick steel was for the porter compartments where the workers were. They weren't afforded such luxury as the president. You can see this crack here on this window. This is from Hurricane Andrew, and the entire shed collapsed around us here at Gold Coast Railroad Museum. We make our way into the presidential dining room. Here we have all the original furniture. This is exactly how it was from 1942 up until today. We're not able to get the presidential seal china. They took it all away when we got the rail car. We have one set over here in this cabinet, but the rest is reproduction from the Lennox Corporation, who does make the china for the president. This was a desk that the president would use to sign any bills if he needed to and review anything. Then we make our way to the observation lounge, and then going out onto the back steps, we have this large door that was actually cut out from a bank vault door. It weighs over 1,500 pounds. And then you go out to see where the president would give speeches, where Truman went 10,000 miles across our country giving speeches to the American people, doing whistle-stop tours. And that's pretty much what most of the other presidents, except Eisenhower, really used it for as well. Here we have the buildings from the Naval Air Station Richmond. On my right-hand side, you can see the arches from that used to hold up the entire hangar superstructure. And behind me is the hangar door that actually used to hold the slats to close the hangar for the blimp base. It's the only thing that still remains tower-wise from the blimp base. The Army Corps of Engineers blew up everything else. I'm here at a section of our property where there are holes in the ground on the concrete, and it's left there intentionally. It's from when the hangars burned down for Naval Air Station Richmond. And it burned so hot, the fires, that the concrete evaporated, the water in it evaporated, and created a crazy pop, crackle, view that you get to see today. It looks like the surface of the moon, maybe. But we have a red line that actually outlines where a plane burned down. You can see that for yourself. And it explains how everything got to be the way it is.
This is Cauley Square Historic Village, a peaceful gem that's here in South Miami. Once originally built in the 1900s for railroad workers, now this is a peaceful place full of nature, beauty, and different shops. Let's go take a look.
So we have Henry Flagler, who established this East Coast Railway, and he was very good friends with William Cauley. This was a siding here in the old town of Goulds, Florida, where they used to import and export goods on the train. Aside from that, we had the pioneers in that time, which were the workers, who also lived here in the many cottages. So these were actual homes of the families in that time. So basically, it was the place to be, its own little town. Here we are in one of the many cottages that we still have here, located here at Cauley Square. As you can see, we're in front of one of the major houses of where the pioneers used to live. Most of these places are kept original and have been restored over time as we have been affected by some hurricanes, but we do maintain the structures as original as possible. So you can see here from the wooden steps to their nice curated doors, we have the wonderful piece of history. But now current day, you can travel here at Cauley Square and travel in time, where you can have multiple shops with different services, such as an apothecary, antiques, jewelry, holistic needs, even a great beauty salon. So take that great escape here in a wonderful piece of history of Cauley Square.
Hey guys, I'm Jimmy Cordovez, and I'm the owner of Jimmy's Bright Ideas. I myself make lamps and furniture and all kinds of handmade items with vintage pieces and instruments, and just trying to be creative with what I have in my shop. And this shop used to be a home for a railroad worker. They used to build the railroads to go to Key West.
We also have the Flatiron Spanish building here, which was the general packing houses there in that time. So pretty much this was the place to be in that time in the 1900s. Moving a little bit forward, obviously in 1992, I believe the Hurricane Andrew hit. And after that, most of the places were very badly blown away by the catastrophe, as you know. Aside from that, I know Mary Ann Ballard did purchase this property. She was like a nice designer. And she had a dream, you know, she was going to be retired. So she saw this area in which she can, you know, kind of restore this area. So like about 1949, she came across it. And then she converted this idea into beautiful shops and nice vintage stores that people can kind of go and browse around. And the county did want to, you know, demolish this area. It was declared a historic site in about 1994. And then around 2001, we had another grand woman with a dream. Her name was Miss Frances Varela, which she purchased it in 2001. And then from there, she went ahead to make Cauley Square and enhance the grand idea that Miss Mary Ann Ballard. So you have two great women who wanted to go ahead and move forward with a piece of history right here in Miami. Current day, you have the cottages, which are a collection of different shops. So we have a perfume factory, a couple of art galleries, antiques. You also have the tea room, which is very wonderful to have tea time and tea service, or if not, a nice casual brunch. It's the best place in town. We are open to the public, so we don't charge any admissions fees. We do really want everybody to enjoy a piece of South Florida's history at its best.
Here we are at the Bonnet House, a historical gem that dates back to the 1920s. Once owned by the Birch and Bartlett family, this location now holds colorful art, beautiful nature, and a glimpse into South Florida's past. Let's go take a look.
Bonnet House was originally the home of artists Frederick and Evelyn Bartlett. Construction started in 1920, and took about a year or two. Bonnet House was really built as an artist's retreat, so it was never designed for lavish, grand entertaining like the family had up north. This was really a place for artists to come and pursue their art, both painting, in the case of Frederick and Evelyn, and then also Helen Birch, who was Frederick's previous wife. She also composed music and poetry here. So the house is really unlike any of the other historic homes that are open in South Florida today. It has a Caribbean style to it because Frederick really wanted the architecture here to be different from what Addison Meisner was doing in Coral Gables and Boca Raton. Almost all of the furnishings that are here are original to Bonnet House. And on a tour of Bonnet House, you'll see various rooms, really all of them basically how they were when Frederick and Evelyn were living here in the 1930s and 40s and creating their artwork. Your tour will start at the front door of the main house and go on to the studio where Frederick and Evelyn both created art that was inspired by Bonnet House. The tour at that point moves on into the drawing room. It has the exposed concrete block walls, although painted, and we believe that the Bartletts left those concrete walls exposed as opposed to having plaster on them because concrete block construction was kind of a new and upcoming building technique at the time. From the studio, the tour moves on to the dining room. Evelyn was a great entertainer, and if you were invited to stay at Bonnet House for a week, you would never eat off the same set of china twice. The kitchen's a very interesting room here at Bonnet House as well. It was a working kitchen up until 1995 when Mrs. Bartlett spent her last winter here at Bonnet House. We have restored it so that it looks more like a kitchen would have in the 1930s and 40s. We were able to source a period refrigerator so that it really does reflect its period of significance. The music room is perhaps one of the most formal rooms at Bonnet House. It really reflects the style of Helen Birch, who was Frederick's wife when Bonnet House was first built. It contains mirrors that were wedding gifts from Helen's family to Frederick and Helen, as well as Helen's piano. Helen was a composer and poet, and her square Steinway piano is in the music room. Not normally open to the public are the upstairs bedrooms. There are 3 family bedrooms upstairs, including the Bartlett bedroom, which is where Frederick and Evelyn spent the night. Hugh Taylor Birch's bedroom is next door to that. And then there is also a 3rd guest bedroom on that floor. There are also additional bedrooms that were originally used for housing staff, but those have now been converted into offices for the Bonnet House staff. Evelyn was a great collector of orchids. We have about 1,000 orchids in our collection today. Many of them were originally Evelyn's plants. We also have her shell collection that is on display in that room, along with the bamboo bar where they would have cocktails before dinner. Frederick liked symmetry in his design, so you will see a lot of pairs of things around Bonnet House. You'll see 2 obelisks at the front door, a pair of giraffes that were collected from carousel animals. Just different places. If you look closely around Bonnet House, you will see pairs, and that was because of Frederick's intentional design.
As you can see, there's so much more to Miami than what meets the eye. These places may not be the loudest and most eccentric locations, but they definitely hold their volume and their beauty and their nature and the amount of history that they hold. Thank you for coming on this adventure with us. This has been Sunshine Stories.